Well, hello everyone. You hear show you right here, like not for sale by midnight, and this, I'm just want to make sure that like from where I left off, from the last, previous post that I was talking about whenever if anybody who's going to be placing any bets or maybe try to talk you into getting into source of marketing tips, and so let's just say that the marketing was going to be related to more about that somebody's going to want to say that they're trying to get you to sell something that you were working on just because so they can get answers, or maybe just to kind of get some ideas and clues about what's it all about. But really that between painting and then a photo right here, and then you have right here is this baby picture right here, like on my first birthday, and but this right here talks about for the credits and points and so forth, e-birth right here, and also talk about the financial reasons also. But still though, that how many of us are going to maybe think that that they want to keep they ask to have one of those photos to keep for their collages or maybe to add to their gallery or something, and let's just say the situation was going to be like to where that they want to look at you as if you were a young kid that enjoying your first slice of a chocolate cake compared to learning the first skills from the math test or something like that. But you have right here's for United States citizen. But still though that with anything about what you call about for not for sale, and so let's just say that for being a designer, for being a professional, that you're going to maybe meet somebody who's going to try to talk you into putting some of your stuff up for marketing. And let's just say that one of those could be maybe a picture of the moon right here. So it's like, yeah, that, we, some of us may have come up to situations to where that anything that we're going to be working on is going to be displayed first before that it's up for sale, or before any sorts of copies that are made and produced that's up for sale. But let's just say that while you were working on something, that somebody was offering you like a profit for it, and if you're like thinking as toward it that whenever you start working on something, that what you really are trying to gather, what you're really working on, is just like an experiment around to where that if you start painting a planet Earth, it's like an activity to where you start painting planet Earth right here using a program like Photoshop, and then you print it out, and then you just kind of get some ideas about to where you use the paintbrush just paint in the details right there, and then it's like, yeah, that somebody else that took interest in it, and then they're gonna be like, well, if I can have a copy of that or something, and yeah, how much do you want for it? And so yeah, that how many of us have come up to this situation to where people try to buy something from you, even though that as of right now that you're not really selling anything, you're just experimenting around and trying to see what the results are. And it seems like to where that anybody who's going to be interested in that skill, that they're going to try to talk you into putting it up for sale so they can buy it. But still, that whenever you meet anybody, or maybe if there's something that becomes of interest, and then it seems like that it's not really a store. This is the work that you're working on, and it's up for display. And let's just say that besides paintings, it could also maybe be like photography, or maybe if it is related to maybe remodeling or maybe construction work or something like that. That somebody likes for what you're doing, and with any sorts of style and design. But how do we handle that really about to where that with anything that goes up for marketing, and you're likely thinking that to where that somebody says is that whenever they look at a picture like this right here, and then I think is to where that, oh, okay, that right there looks like a photograph, but then this planet Earth right here, I have not seen that before. And So let's just say if this person right here is going to be maybe doing some investigating, I'm like, yeah, that they're just going to be looking at the work, and then they're like trying to think as to where they spend so much time trying to figure it out, which one is the painting and which one is the photo. But it's like, yeah, that which one is the painting and which one is the photo, and you're like, I'm like, oh, well, we know that, yeah, that right there is a photograph right there of the moon, and so it's like, yeah, whenever it does go up for sale, that you're wondering to, are you buying it, just to enjoy it, or are you buying it just to what you call, if you're trying to solve like a mystery story, to where you buy it just because that you're doing research about it. And how many of us are going to maybe buy a catalog or a magazine just to do research about it, and knowing about who the publisher is and who the artist is, and et cetera, et cetera. And thinking is that between painting and photo. And if anybody will want to wear that, if you're going to be placing any bets on anything, maybe $500 and maybe up to $5,000. I'm like, if you say, yeah, whenever you place a bet on something, you are basically offering to pay money, I guess, just to get answers, right or wrong. I'm like, yeah, it seems like that's what it's all about. To where that somebody's going to place a bet, if you guess, if you guess right, and then you got to pay up or something like that, yeah, that I know that sometimes I guess people kind of call that as a tease, to where if you're going to be placing a bet on something, and you pay that person money if they are wrong. And to me, yeah, that. Yeah, and I know that a lot of times, though, it seems like like a guessing game, and I know that to me it seems like I also wonder too, that why is it that people do that a lot of times, why they place bets on something, and it could be a number of good reasons and maybe a few bad reasons also, but still that if we're going to be placing a bet to where, oh, okay, is this supposed to be a photo or a painting, or that basically that for any source of research information about from what longitude was that facing, like I say, was facing from the east or the west. And whenever you took that photograph, did you necessarily pay attention to the high resolution ISO of the lighting on the camera? And so yeah, that whenever you place a bet, a lot of times it seems like that you are yeah, it seems like you are basically, if you're trying to prove somebody wrong necessarily, and saying that if you are wrong, then if I'm right and then you wrong, you gotta pay me, the money that what we agreed on. But still, though, that whenever you place bets, though, and sometimes people say that I bet you, $500, that yeah, for situations that are solved. It seems like a lot of times situations that are solved, but anyway, but you have right here, like talk about for not for sale. So it's like, yeah, that this right here, for Planet Earth right here, I went in and worked this. It's like if anybody were asked me to where if I want to go ahead and paint the Planet Earth right there just for creativity, and you're like thinking that. Whenever I was looking at that on Photoshop, after I took this picture right here of the moon right here, because the moon, I don't have very many pictures of that, and so it's like while you're working on this, maybe whenever you spend about 4 or 5 hours putting this together, then it's possible that somebody's going to see it, and then maybe that they're going to want to, offer you some money for it, or yeah, that anything else, such as trying to talk you into getting stuff up, for marketing. And so it's like, yeah, that a lot for what a professional does. It seems like what exactly are they necessarily looking for? Anybody who's who's willing to place like any source of marketing, to where that they are willing to pay a little bit, just to be able to get some information, just to be able to keep a copy of something, just for something for keepsakes, whichever it is. But still, though, that looking at this picture right here, that thinking this story you have right here is for eBirth, and then you have right here is for postpaid right here. But with postpaid, that you're likely warranted to where that basically means that that the postage is paid for, right? But still, that this right here, like a logo right here when we manage an online account. So really, that whenever we're going to be managing an online account, are you really selling anything, or are you just what you call it, being like just like any other American citizen, that you're going to go ahead and sign on to your account using a mobile device, or maybe on an actual personal computer, and working your stuff, updating your documents, sorts of stuff like that, and at some point that somebody's going to maybe ask is like or how much do you want for that item, and so it seems like that something that you were working on, something that you were working on, and somebody offered you a certain amount of money for it. And sometimes I guess you might say that there's nothing wrong with saying as to where it's not for sale. Well, it's for display only, or if you want a copy. And a lot of times you say that you're more likely that they're just going to go ahead and ask to get a copy. But still, though, that if we're talking about that, that somebody wants to know about, wanting to buy something, and but still, though, that the reason why I had this 4,300, and this right here, was me right here on my first birthday, and if I can remember right, that the highest amount of money that I thought was considered, back, and that would have been back in 1985, that I would say that the highest amount of money that I did want to collect during the time would have probably been about $20. Yeah, $20. So it's like, for what matches on my shirt, well, $20, and not no $4,000, and if anybody say that you would maybe see that maybe in the lotteries, win a lottery or something like that, but still that but for like any source of for disability credit, and as well as points on average, but still, and how many of us have heard of like eBirth, to where that electronic birth certification? So that I don't know if they do something like that, but still that. For how we manage our online accounts, but anyway, but still, I mean, that's something to think about, as to where that somebody tries to, your thinking is toward it. If you made up your mind about what you want to sell, and what you want to just put up for display only, but still, though, that you have right here, if anybody warns us toward that, anybody who really wants answers, and they're going to try to talk you into selling some of the work, or people who are going to be placing bets on something. But the way I think about it too, that if the whole agreement is going to be about the whole argument, or I should say the whole argument is going to be about as to where whose work is whose, to where that that picture of the moon right there came from a professional photographer. Some that may not even believe that you took the picture, some may not even believe that you painted that picture right there of planet Earth. So it seems like whenever the work is finished and finally posted inside of a catalog, displayed, and then for how it was published, it seems like when a lot of people are going to be looking at it, then chances are that people are going to want to buy it. And I think as to where, well, how did it start on just like a blank document, and as well as I didn't think anything of the picture, and then as well as working with the paint tool, in Photoshop, but still that for any source of experiment that we may try, and then maybe somebody that wants to offer you some money for it, and you're like, Warren, to where, that's not the reason why I did all this work right here, was not really to sell anything or to put anything up for market. It was mainly just like an activity. It was an experiment, and just like putting a puzzle together. And how many of us who maybe think that enjoying chocolate cake is maybe like putting a puzzle together? I'm like, because you basically picking it up in pieces. I'm like, you enjoying the birthday cake. But still, that working a puzzle, though, that whenever you solve a puzzle and you fit it together. But whenever you put it together, and then knowing that people that want to look at it, and but still, that looking at a painting, and one of those reasons could be as to where, Oh, okay. That right there, that moon right there, looks exactly like a photograph. It don't look like a painting, and that right there looks like a painting. And I say, well, that's because it is a painting. Like, okay, by moon by midnight, like, yeah. Every time you look at the moon, it's gonna remind you of midnight, right? Like, oh yeah, it's the stars too, and anything else that you see at night, it's going to remind you of midnight or a little after midnight or only 11 p.m. But still, that how many of us are going to maybe think that maybe if it's a goal to where you're going to try to talk to the person about lowering the price, it's like it was. The bet was about maybe maybe the 20% or so of the $500, and then they went up the price. So yeah, anything. And I know that a lot of stuff, I guess, is going to remind us of eBay. eBay or any other source of auctioning site, but I guess the point I'm making to where is that anything something that you're going to be working on, and you're thinking is to where that really that you're just before it goes up for sale, that you really just want to kind of look at it and just kind of see that okay, anything creative that you can do with the work, and think as to where you want to make it look like one of those one of those science fiction sorts of reading catalogs or something, one of those magazine catalogs. I can remember back whenever I was young that like Star Trek labels or something like that. So yeah, Star Wars or Star Trek, you want to go ahead and do something fun with Photoshop, doing like a little typographical type work, like say for many light years from far away or something like that in our galaxy, but still though that maybe not for sale is maybe not visible, but if you're going to see like maybe midnight and planet Earth right there, and there's going to maybe something in the paper that's going to maybe mention to where that really do photograph and painting mix. You're like thinking as to where that can you really take a photograph and actually mix that in with a painting, and on top of that maybe another source of image that was copied and pasted, but still though that whenever you place a work like this on one document, and thinking is that you look at a picture of the moon that you took maybe a few weeks ago, and you're like thinking as to where you want to go and try an experiment, and at the time it seems like that somebody's probably say this to where you right or wrong, because that it possibly how you going to handle it whenever you're wrong about something, but still though that whenever you're looking at work like this, you do also one or two that somebody's wanting to maybe buy something from you, and maybe you might even tell them that I am not putting my work up for sale, not right now, and any source of marketing that you probably say that well, you can look at it, and if you need a copy, but really that what is the best way of how to handle that, other than that if you're going to be putting your work up for marketing, then you might have a lot of the recommendations and maybe anything that is required also, but thought about it as to where that that's your work, anything that you're working on, and what is the main reason to why you're doing this activity right here. Maybe just to teach yourself something about the basics about how the tools work, and maybe about how the camera works, and then you're going to maybe have somebody else that's going to maybe mention about as to where that they like the work, and then maybe they want to offer you credit for it or something, for the hard work that you put in. But you have it here for Planet Earth, and like I said before, for Planet Earth, but you can see right here that I took the extra 10, 20 minutes or so just to add the islands in there. So if anybody wanted to where that right there is supposed to be Planet Earth right there, and where's the sun? The sun will be within distance, but anyway, and then the stars right there, I you can see right there is this the picture right there. The picture, this right here will be the actual original photo right here that I pasted the planet Earth right there, but then that right there will be the star. So whenever you look at a star, stars, be tiny stars, and some of them, and I know if anybody were to say, if you're going to be looking up at the sky, and you heard that before, to where that there are some planets like planet Jupiter that are visible within distance, in space. And you also wonder too that if you can get a real clear picture of planet Jupiter that looks just like that on a photograph, about how many people would want to pay a high bet, on that, to where that is that supposed to be Jupiter, or is that supposed to be just what you call just a nothing, in space? Okay, is it a star, or is it a meteor? I'm like, yeah, that anything that you're looking up at the sky in general. But we all know that with a paintbrush, you can paint anything that you want, using a paintbrush. But of course, this portion right here of the print is a photograph. So I took that picture and then I add in a, planet Earth right there. So it's not like planet Earth right there and okay, what direction would the moon be facing right there? But you got right there is for planet Earth right there. So anything that's going to be going on, like say, like a science fiction, any sorts of science that travel, space travel, catalog or magazine or some sort, newsletter. And anybody say they come across that and just to kind of get the whole, understanding, right or wrong. And like say, yeah, people want answers, and whenever they want answers, and they're more likely going to place a bet. And you're like, Warren Tour, what? Well, why are you wasting your time trying to get answers about what? Answers about what? Well, we want to know is if that's a painting or if that's a picture, and if that's your work, or what is that supposed to be? So whenever you show somebody something, or maybe whenever you're working on something and maybe somebody sees it, they're going to maybe ask you some information about it, and one of those sources of information is going to maybe be like as to okay, I don't know why you're spending so much time working with that, but so yeah, that things that maybe not everybody's going to understand either. But it all goes by saying is to where that whenever you came across this photo right here of the moon, I don't have very many photographs of the moon that looking like that right there. So whenever we look at this very closely right here, that the picture's kind of faded out because it's all in print, but you see right here that whenever if you're going to be looking up in space, it's like a glowing, yeah. I don't know if we look at it maybe like a golf ball, and like anybody say that whenever you look at a golf ball, does it remind you at all of the moon? But whenever you look up at the moon, by exactly what direction it's facing from planet Earth, right right here, and then on your hand that if it was a painting, then we would know that for like the source of tools and programs that were used. But still that and I know for pixels too, and if we were to be using this just to kind of investigate, I'm like, yeah, about the photo, that if you actually uploaded the photo to like Photoshop, you'll be able to tell about what the photograph contains, if it's pixels or beacons or any source of file data. So whenever the picture was taken, if anybody wants us to where that it's basically like a puzzle, to where that you're able to find out about, oh, okay, a puzzle, or if it's going to be a picture or a painting. But still that with this what you call not for sale, that if anybody tried to talk you into selling anything, I'm like, you're putting anything up for market, and you're like, think as to where maybe after maybe 10 or 20 times or something like that, maybe 15 or maybe 11 times that they ask you, yeah, are they really offering you to buy something from you just because they like it, or they're trying to collect some evidence about to where that okay, what's it supposed to be, or they're doing research about it. And like anybody, I begin to wonder too a lot, to where that if this was right here, if this was related to a science project, and then I might tell this person that for what I was doing really has nothing to do with what you're trying to do. If you're just doing this, if you're working on a research project on your own time, or maybe that something that I was working on looks just like what you're looking for. But really, I tried to explain to anybody. But before before any of this stuff goes up for sale, just to kind of explain about what it is. So really, I just really think that that's kind of important too, is to explain the details about what it is before anybody, wants to buy it. But, anyway, but talk about is like for bets, for not for sale by midnight. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.